Cool, I replied, feeling my jaw lock even as my voice stayed flat. Then I added one more sentence that wiped the smirk right off his face. Well, everything will be canceled then. On the other end of the line, there was a tiny pause, the kind of silence that tells you someone finally realizes they picked the wrong person to mess with. I could almost hear his face draining of color. He thought I was joking. He always thinks I'm bluffing. That's the problem with being the obedient daughter for too long. People forget how dangerous you can become. Once you stop trying to earn love, you'll never receive. My name is Olivia. I'm 28. And for as long as I can remember, Christmas has been my prison sentence disguised as tradition. 4 years ago, my mother died. Cancer, quick and brutal. And the moment they lowered her casket into the ground, my father looked at me with those cold, calculating eyes and said, "Someone has to keep this family together. You're the woman of the house now." I was 24. I had just started a job I loved. I had dreams, plans, a whole life waiting for me. But my father, Richard, he's a man who doesn't ask. He commands. And when a former Marine Corps officer who built a law firm from nothing tells you what your duty is, you don't argue. You just obey. So I became her, the invisible architect of every holiday, every birthday, every family gathering. I plan the menu, design the decorations, organize the group chats, coordinate arrivals, and quietly fix every disaster so my father can stand at the head of the table and accept praise like a king receiving tribute. Every candle, every playlist, every perfectly folded napkin, that was me. And this year, the same man who built his entire reputation as a heroic widower who held his family together through tragedy, the man everyone in our town calls a pillar of strength. He looked me in the eye through the phone and told me I wasn't needed, not invited, not welcome. Something snapped. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. If I was not needed, then I would prove how needed I was. I had the guest list. I had the traditions. I had the leverage. With one message sent at the right time, his perfect Christmas could collapse like a house of cards in a hurricane. Have you ever wondered what happens when the daughter who sacrificed everything finally decides to burn it all down? Stay with me until the end, and I'll show you how one sentence turned our family holiday into the coldest revenge I've ever taken. When the call ended, I just stood there in my tiny Los Angeles kitchen, phone still in my hand, the screen gone black, my reflection staring back at me. No one needs you to come this Christmas. The words replayed in my head on a vicious loop. For years, I had built my entire December around that house, that table, that carefully curated illusion of the perfect family. And just like that, I'd been erased with one sentence. The ridiculous thing is, he said it like he was doing me a favor, as if cutting me out was some sort of mercy. That's the kind of man my father is. He breaks you, then acts like he's setting you free. His name is Richard. To everyone else, he's the man who makes Christmas magical, the widower who refused to let tragedy destroy his family traditions. Perfect tree, perfect food, perfect family photos posted on social media with captions about strength and resilience. They clap for him every year. Local newspaper even did a feature on him once. Heroic father keeps wife's memory alive through holidays. They never see the group chats I manage, the spreadsheets I make, the last-minute store runs I do when he forgets basic things like cranberry sauce or gifts for certain relatives. They don't see me scrubbing pans at midnight while he accepts all the praise, like a general accepting medals at the end of a war he didn't fight. My brother Ryan just jokes that I'm good at this stuff. Easy for him to say. His contribution is showing up and existing. Mine is everything else. I thought back to last year when the oven broke an hour before people arrived. My father stood there, already planning his speech about how hard he tried, how he's doing his best as a single parent. I quietly ordered emergency catering, rearranged the timing, and lied to everyone about a fun surprise menu change. He got compliments for being so adaptable, so strong, such an inspiration. I got a nod. While he posed for pictures in front of the table, I saved, one arm around Ryan, both of them looking like catalog models for masculine strength and brotherhood. So when he told me this year that no one needs you to come, something dark inside me laughed. If I disappeared, that house wouldn't just feel emptier, it would fall apart. I'm the one who reminds Uncle James about his flight. I'm the one who picks up Grandma so she doesn't sit alone at home, the grandmother he barely calls anymore. I'm the one who organizes the Secret Santa list, who texts cousins their assignments, who nudges everyone to bring what they promised. Without me, there is no Christmas. Not the version they're used to. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became. For once, I held the power. For once, I could be the one who decides how the story goes. He thinks I'll stay in my lane, cry a little, and still show up with cookies and gifts like a loyal little soldier, like Mom would have wanted. But this time, I'm done being the ghost of my mother, endlessly serving a man who sees me as free labor. I opened our big family Christmas group chat and stared at the list of names. Uncles, aunts, cousins, neighbors, even Dad, all neatly lined up under my admin status. Admin. That word suddenly felt like a loaded weapon. I didn't type anything yet. I just let the idea breathe. If the person you treat as disposable suddenly stops doing the invisible work that holds your life together, what happens? Would you still show up smiling if your own father told you that you weren't needed? Or would you finally show her exactly how much of his perfect life is built on your back? The next morning, my phone started buzzing before my alarm even went off. I didn't need to check to know who it was. Ryan, of course. He always shows up when Dad needs something softened, when the general needs his loyal lieutenant to handle the messy emotions he can't be bothered with. I let it ring twice, 3 times, then picked up. "What?" I said. No hello, no fake sweetness. Just that. "Wow, good morning to you too," he scoffed lightly, then lowered his voice like he was slipping into his favorite role, peacemaker. "Look, Dad told me what happened. He didn't mean it like that. You know how he gets when he's stressed." There it was, the classic family translation. "He emotionally stabbed you, but don't bleed on the carpet." He said, "No one needs me," I replied. He meant it. "He just doesn't want drama this year," Ryan insisted. "He's tired. You know he's been doing this alone since Mom died." I laughed, and it came out sharp, almost feral. Doing what alone? Standing at the head of the table while I do everything? He ignored that, barreling forward like he had talking points prepared. "Anyway, even if you're not coming, can you at least help with the usual stuff? The group chats, the reminders, the playlist. You're better at it than any of us." "You're kidding," I cut in. "So I'm not needed, but my work still is?" Silence. Then a frustrated exhale. "Olivia, don't be dramatic. This isn't about you." I felt my fingers dig into the edge of the counter, nails scraping against the laminate. Really? Because he literally made it about me. Ryan kept going like he was reading from a script Dad had approved, probably standing right next to him while we talked. "Dad's worried. He thinks you're pulling away. He's the one who paid for your college, your apartment deposit, everything. The least you could do is make Christmas easy on him. He's still grieving, Liv." A bitter taste filled my mouth. "Paid for my college?" I repeated slowly. "You mean the college I dropped out of after 1 semester because there wasn't enough money for me to go back?" "Oh my God, not this again," he muttered. "You know things were tight after Mom died. Dad did what he had to do. He used available resources to keep the family afloat. Stop acting like you're the only one who suffered." My brain stalled on one phrase. Available resources. What resources, Ryan? There was a tiny pause, like he realized too late what he'd said. Nothing. "Look, forget it. Just can you send the reminder in the group? People are asking about start time." But I wasn't listening anymore. My heart didn't sink. It hardened into something cold and sharp. "What fund, Ryan? What money did he use?" His breathing changed, got defensive. "I don't know all the details, okay? That's between you and Dad. I'm just trying to keep the peace here." "Tell me," I said, my voice dropping to something dangerous, or I walk away from this conversation and this family right now. Another pause. Longer this time. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter, almost guilty. Mom set up an account for you before she died. For college. Dad had access because you were still a minor when she passed. When things got tight, he made some financial decisions. That's all I know. When things got tight, I repeated. You mean when your business failed and you needed $30,000 to avoid bankruptcy? I could hear him swallow. How did you... Because I remember, Ryan. I remember you suddenly being fine again. Debt gone. New car. Meanwhile, I'm working double shifts and taking night classes at community college because apparently there was no money for me. It wasn't like that, he said weakly. Then what was it like? Explain it to me. He couldn't. He just kept stammering, trying to find words that would make stealing from your dead wife's final gift to her daughter sound reasonable. I have to go, I said quietly, and hung up before he could spin another story. My hands were shaking, but not from sadness, from rage, pure, crystalline rage. I opened my laptop and started digging through old emails, files, anything that might prove my instincts right. It took 20 minutes. I found an email from Mom's lawyer, sent 2 weeks before she died. Subject line, trust documents for Olivia Margaret Chen. Inside was a scanned letter in my mother's handwriting, shaky but deliberate. My dearest Olivia, it read, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. I've set up this account with money from my mother, your grandmother. It's $15,000. Not a fortune, but enough to finish school, to start your life, to be free. Your father doesn't know about this. It's just for you. Don't let anyone tell you what to do with your future. Don't let anyone make you small. I love you more than words can say. Make me proud. Live big. Mom. The date on the letter was 3 days before she died. I kept scrolling and found bank statements. The account had been opened when I was 16. By the time I turned 19, 6 months after Mom's funeral, it was empty. Withdrawal authorization showed 2 signatures, mine and Richard's. My signature looked wrong, sloppier, rushed. I don't remember ever signing anything. My chest felt like it was caving in, but my eyes stayed dry. I was beyond tears. I was in that cold, clear space where you finally see the truth of who someone really is. He'd stolen my mother's dying wish. He'd used her money, her final act of love, to bail out his golden boy while I worked myself to exhaustion just to survive. And then he had the audacity to tell me no one needs you to come this Christmas. I stared at that letter, at my mother's shaking handwriting, at the words, "Don't let anyone make you small." "Sorry, Mom," I whispered to the screen. I let him do exactly that, but not anymore. I opened the family Christmas group chat again. This time, I didn't hesitate. I created a new group, Christmas Update. I added everyone except Dad and Ryan. Then I wrote, "Hey everyone, just a quick update. Dad told me he's feeling really overwhelmed this year and doesn't want a big crowd. He asked me to scale things down, so I'll be hosting anyone who still wants to celebrate at my place in LA. Totally understand if you already have other plans, but if you'd like a warm meal, presents, and some real conversation, my door is open." I stared at the message for exactly 3 seconds. Then I hit send. The replies started rolling in within minutes. Honestly, a smaller thing sounds nice. "We were only coming because of you anyway, Liv. Can I bring dessert? Your place sounds wonderful, sweetheart. What time?" I watched my father's perfectly curated empire start to tilt, one polite message at a time. "Tell me, if you discovered your father secretly emptied the college fund your dying mother set up specifically for you, the last gift she ever gave you, would you still play nice at Christmas? Or would you start rewriting the guest list too?" By the end of the day, my apartment was turning into Plan B, the real Christmas. People kept texting, asking what they could bring, what time they should come, whether kids were welcome. Every ping on my phone felt like another nail in the coffin of my father's perfect image. I didn't tell them about the fund, not yet. I wanted that truth to land at the right time. in the right way. Revenge isn't just about anger, it's about timing. Between answering messages, I made a list, a very specific list. My father thinks he runs Christmas, but the truth is, everything runs through accounts I set up years ago. The catering company, the rental services, the florist, even the photographer who comes every year to capture his heroic widower performance. All of it in my name, on my credit cards, because he never wanted anything traceable to him. He wanted the glory without the paper trail. First call, the catering company. "Hi, this is Olivia Chen," I said sweetly into the phone. "I need to cancel that holiday order for the 25th. Yes, the entire thing. Roast, sides, desserts, all of it." There was a pause. The woman on the other end sounded confused. "Oh, we're so sorry to hear that. Is everything okay? Your father always orders the premium package. Change of plans," I said simply. "Family's doing something smaller this year. Very last minute, I know." "No problem at all," she replied. "We'll process the cancellation. Will you be rebooking for a different date?" "No," I said, "but thank you." Next, I opened the email thread with the linen rental company, the one who delivered tablecloths and chair covers so everything would look elegant and expensive. I typed quickly, "Plans changed. Please cancel the order for December 25th. Appreciate your understanding. Send." Then the florist, the bar service, the valet company he hired last year to make the event feel more upscale. One by one, I dismantled the infrastructure of his perfect Christmas. Finally, I called Grandma, my mother's mother, the woman my father barely tolerates, the woman he only invites because it would look bad not to. She picked up on the second ring, voice bright and warm. "Liv, sweetheart, are you excited for Christmas at your father's?" she asked, already breathless with anticipation. My throat tightened, but I didn't let it show. "Actually, Grandma, I need to tell you something," I said carefully. "Dad told me he's really overwhelmed this year. He's scaling things way back. But I didn't want you to be alone or stuck making the drive just for a small dinner. So, how would you feel about spending Christmas at my place instead? I'll come get you. I'm hosting anyone who still wants a real celebration." There was a pause, then a soft, sharp laugh, the kind that tells you someone has been waiting years to hear something like this. "Oh, sweetheart," she said, and her voice dropped lower, more serious. "Did he uninvite you?" I swallowed hard. "Yeah, he did." She made a sound, half sigh, half growl. "That man. Your mother would be furious, livid. You know she never trusted him with you kids after she was gone. She told me so in the hospital." My heart stopped. "What?" "Your mom," Grandma continued, her voice thick with old grief. "She made me promise to watch over you. She said Richard would try to turn you into her replacement, that he'd use you up and never see you as your own person. I've watched it happen, Liv. For 4 years, I've watched him do exactly what she feared. And I didn't speak up because I thought, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's just grieving." She paused, and when she spoke again, there were tears in her voice. "But I wasn't wrong." "Was I?" "No," I whispered. "You weren't." "Then I'll be there," she said firmly. "Christmas at your place. And Liv, honey, I think it's time people knew the truth about Richard. Your mother would want that." After I hung up, I sat there staring at my phone, my mother's voice echoing in my memory. Old videos I'd watched 1,000 times, her laugh, her warnings about not letting people dim my light. The way she always said, "You're stronger than you know, baby girl," she knew. Even dying, she knew what he'd do to me. That night, I set up my phone on the kitchen counter and hit record. "My father told me no one needs me to come home for Christmas this year," I started, staring straight into the camera. So I decided to see what would happen if I stopped doing all the invisible work I've been doing for him my entire life. I didn't say his name. Not yet. I just told the story. The decorations, the planning, the way I'd been treated like staff instead of a daughter, the way he built his entire public image as a devoted father on my unpaid labor. "For 4 years, I've been my mother's ghost," I said, voice steady, "doing everything she used to do, while he takes all the credit. He calls himself a hero, a strong, single father. Everyone believes it. But the truth is, I'm the one holding his life together. And the moment I asked for basic respect, he threw me away like I was nothing. I didn't cry. I didn't beg for sympathy. I just laid out facts, one by one, like evidence in a trial. At the end, I looked directly into the camera with a small, cold smile I barely recognized as my own. If you've ever been the forgotten one in your own family, I said, if you've ever been the one doing everything while someone else takes the applause, this Christmas is for us. This is what happens when you finally stop playing small. I saved the video but didn't post it yet. That would come later, on Christmas Eve, when the timing would hurt the most. Then I got to work turning my small apartment into something worth celebrating. I ordered food, real food, not the pretentious catering my father always insisted on. Comfort dishes, warmth. I strung lights everywhere. I set up a playlist of my mother's favorite songs, the ones Dad banned from the house because they reminded him too much of her. Good, I thought. Let her be here. Let this be hers. Around midnight, my phone lit up with a message from Ryan. People are asking me if Christmas is canceled. What did you do? I smiled and typed back. I told them the truth. Dad wanted something smaller. They're making other plans. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, you're going to regret this. I stared at those words for a long moment, then replied, no, he will. The next morning, I woke up to chaos. My father had created a new group chat, immediate family only, and was furiously typing. I don't know what Olivia told everyone, but Christmas is not canceled. Everyone is still invited. Please confirm attendance immediately. But the replies were cold, distant, polite refusals. Actually, Richard, we decided to join Olivia this year. Thanks for the invite, but we're going to LA. Sorry, already made other plans. One by one, they chose me. And in the sudden silence of his unraveling control, I could finally breathe. Tell me, if the person who stole your future suddenly lost everything they built on your suffering, would you feel guilty or would you feel free? On the morning of December 24th, I woke up with a strange calm, the kind of calm that comes right before you detonate a bomb you've spent weeks carefully building. I made coffee, checked the group chats, watched my father's desperate messages pile up in the immediate family chat, each one more frantic than the last. This is ridiculous. Olivia is manipulating everyone. I'm still hosting Christmas. Everything is fine. Ryan, call your sister. Fix this. But Ryan had gone quiet. No more peacemaker messages. No more defending Dad. Just silence. I opened my photos and found the screenshot I'd taken days ago. The bank statement, my mother's letter, the withdrawal authorization with my forged signature. Then I opened the video I'd recorded, the one scheduled to go live that evening. My thumb hovered over the post button. Once I did this, there would be no going back. No more pretending. No more, it's just how he is. Just truth, bare and ugly and permanent. I thought about my mother, about her shaking handwriting, about the words, "Don't let anyone make you small." Then I pressed post. The video went live at 6 in the evening, exactly when families start gathering for Christmas Eve dinners. Perfect timing. Within minutes, my phone exploded. Comments, shares, messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Oh my God, I had no idea. Your father always seemed so put together. This is heartbreaking. I'm so sorry. But I wasn't reading those yet. I had one more move to make. I opened the big family Christmas group chat, the one with everyone, including my father, and posted the screenshot of the bank statement and my mother's letter. Then I typed, "Since Dad told me no one needs me to come this Christmas, I decided to host whoever still wants to celebrate. Also, for those who ever wondered why I never finished college, here's part of the answer. My mother set up a fund for me before she died. $15,000. Her final gift. Dad drained it 6 months after her funeral to bail out Ryan. I never saw a penny. I never even knew it existed until this week. I stared at that message, at the evidence of his betrayal laid out in black and white. Then I hit send. The fallout was immediate and nuclear. Is this real? What fund? Richard, what the hell is this? Grandma posted a voice note, her voice shaking with rage. I knew about this account. Your mother made me witness the paperwork. She specifically said it was only for Olivia. Richard, if you touch that money, so help me God. My father's response came fast, defensive, panicked. This is a private family matter. Olivia has no right to air this publicly. She's twisting the truth. But the truth was right there, in my mother's handwriting, in the bank records. Undeniable. Other family members started sharing their own stories. Times my father had borrowed money and never paid it back. Times he'd taken credit for things other people did. Times he'd manipulated situations to look like the hero. It was like ripping up floorboards and finding rot underneath. Everyone had smelled something off for years. Now they finally saw it. Aunt Carol wrote, I always wondered why you dropped out, Liv. Richard told us you just weren't cut out for college, that you couldn't handle the pressure. Now I know he was lying. Cousin Mike added, he borrowed $5,000 from me 3 years ago for a legal emergency. Never paid it back. Said he'd get to it eventually. I let it go because I felt bad about your mom. One by one, the perfect image of Richard Chen, heroic widower and devoted father, crumbled into dust. Meanwhile, my video was going viral. Thousands of views, then tens of thousands. Strangers on the internet poured in with their own stories of toxic parents, stolen futures, invisible labor. The comments section became a support group. My father did the same thing to me, stole my inheritance. I was the family workhorse, too. Thank you for speaking up. This gave me the courage to finally go no contact. Around 8 that night, my phone rang. Not a text, a full call. Dad. I stared at his name on the screen, my heart pounding. For a second, I almost didn't answer, but I needed to hear his voice. I needed to know what he'd say when his back was finally against the wall. I picked up. What the hell have you done? He hissed. No hello, no pretense, just venom. I told the truth, I said calmly. That's all. You humiliated me, he snarled. Do you have any idea what this looks like? People at the firm are asking questions. Clients saw your little video. You've destroyed my reputation. Good, I said, and the word came out cold and sharp. Maybe you should have thought about that before you stole from your dead wife. I didn't steal, he snapped. I made a financial decision for the good of the family. Your brother was in crisis. I did what any father would do. With my money, I shot back. Money Mom left specifically for me. Money you had no right to touch. You were 19, he said, as if that explained everything. You didn't know what you needed. I made the right call. The right call, I repeated slowly. You forged my signature, drained the account, and let me think I was too poor to finish school while you bailed out Ryan for the 3rd time. That's the right call? He was silent for a beat, then pivoted. None of this would have happened if you'd just done your job, if you just helped with Christmas like you always do. But no, you had to make everything about you. My job? I said, voice rising. I'm your daughter, not your servant. Mom's been dead for 4 years and you still treat me like I'm her replacement, like I owe you something. You owe me everything, he roared, finally losing control. I raised you. I fed you. I kept a roof over your head after your mother abandoned us. My blood went ice cold. Abandoned us? She died. She didn't abandon anyone. He made a disgusted sound. She left me alone with 2 kids and a mountain of medical debt. She left me to figure everything out. You think that was easy? You think I wanted to be a single father? I couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. You resent her, I whispered. You resent Mom for dying. I resent being left behind, he corrected sharply, and I resent you for making my life harder instead of easier. Your mother knew how to support me. You just complain. Tears burned my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. Then you finally know how it feels, I said quietly, because now you're the one being left behind. Merry Christmas, Dad. I hung up. My hands were shaking. My chest felt like it was cracking open, but underneath the pain was something else. Relief. For the first time in 4 years, I'd said everything I needed to say, and he'd shown me exactly who he was. Not a grieving widower, not a struggling father, just a man who saw people as tools. I looked around my apartment, at the lights I'd hung, at the table I'd set, at the playlist of Mom's favorite songs playing softly in the background. This was hers now, not his. Tomorrow, I'd celebrate Christmas my way, with people who actually wanted me there, and my father could sit alone in his big empty house, with nothing but his shattered reputation and the consequences of his own cruelty. Tell me, if your father stole your dying mother's last gift to you and then blamed you for being ungrateful, would you ever forgive him? Or would you let him drown in the truth he spent years trying to bury? Christmas morning arrived with unexpected quiet. No frantic messages, no last-minute emergencies, no one demanding I fix something I didn't break, just peace. I woke up early, made coffee, and started cooking. Real food, comfort food, the kind my mother used to make before she got sick. Roasted chicken with herbs, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, apple pie from scratch. My apartment smelled like home. Not the sterile, performative home my father created for his Instagram photos. Real home, the kind that wraps around you like a warm blanket. Around noon, people started arriving. Grandma came first. I picked her up myself, drove the 2 hours to her place and back. When she walked into my apartment and saw the decorations, the table set with mismatched plates and my mother's old Christmas playlist playing softly, she stopped in the doorway and cried. "Oh, sweetheart," she whispered, pulling me into a fierce hug. "This is exactly what your mama would have wanted." I held her tight, breathing in her familiar lavender perfume. "I'm done being invisible," I told her. "Good," she said firmly, pulling back to look at me with fierce pride in her eyes. "It's about damn time." Within an hour, my small apartment was packed. Cousins with casseroles, Aunt Carol with wine, Uncle Mike with his kids who immediately sprawled on the floor with wrapping paper and crayons, the neighbors from downstairs who'd seen my video and knocked just to drop off cookies and a hug. Someone brought a guitar. Someone else brought board games. It was chaotic and loud and absolutely nothing like my father's carefully orchestrated performances. It was real. Around 3 p.m, Aunt Carol pulled me aside into the kitchen while I was basting the chicken. "Liv, honey," she said quietly, "I need to tell you something about your mom." I turned to face her, wooden spoon still in hand. "What about her?" She took a breath, choosing her words carefully. "Right before she died, she called me. Asked me to keep an eye on you and Ryan after she was gone. She was worried about Richard. Said he had a way of rewriting reality to suit himself. She made me promise that if he ever tried to control you or make you disappear into his shadow, I'd speak up." My throat tightened. "Why didn't you?" She looked down, shame flickering across her face. "Because he's convincing, Liv. He made everything look so normal. And I thought, maybe your mom was just worried because she was dying. Maybe she was seeing problems that weren't there. But I was wrong. I should have said something years ago." Her eyes met mine, wet with regret. "I'm saying it now. What he did to you, stealing that money, treating you like a servant, it's unforgivable. Your mother would be so proud of you for standing up to him." I set down the spoon and hugged her, hard. "Thank you," I whispered. We pulled apart when someone called from the living room that the kids were trying to open presents early. Carol laughed and went to referee while I finished the food, but her words stayed with me. Mom knew. She'd tried to protect me even from beyond the grave. Dinner was beautiful chaos, laughter and stories and terrible jokes. Grandma told embarrassing stories about my father from when he first married Mom, how controlling he was even then, how Mom had confided that he always needed to be the center of attention. "He wasn't always like this," Grandma said, voice heavy. "But after your mom got pregnant with you, something shifted. He started seeing family as a reflection of himself rather than people he loved. Your mother tried so hard to balance it, to protect you kids from his ego. I never knew that, I said softly. She didn't want you to, Grandma replied. She wanted you to have a father you could respect, even when it cost her. We were just starting dessert when there was a knock at the door. Loud, urgent. The room went quiet. I stood up slowly, heart hammering, and walked to the door. For a terrified second, I thought it might be him, my father coming to drag me back, to yell, to destroy this fragile piece I'd built. But when I opened it, it was Ryan. He stood there in the hallway, no coat despite the cold, cheeks flushed, eyes red. In his hands was a half-wrapped gift, the paper crumpled like he'd been gripping it too hard. "Can I come in?" he asked, voice raw. I stared at him, every protective instinct screaming at me to slam the door. "Depends," I said. "Are you here to drag me back to Dad's table or to actually listen for once?" He exhaled shakily, shoulders slumping forward. "I left," he said quietly. I walked out. My hand tightened on the doorframe. "What?" I couldn't do it anymore, Liv. I sat there at that table. Just me and him and the catering I had to order last minute because he didn't realize you'd canceled everything. And he spent the entire meal ranting about you, about how ungrateful you are, how you betrayed him, how you're poisoning everyone against him. Ryan's voice cracked. He didn't apologize once. Not once. I kept waiting for him to say he was wrong, that he shouldn't have taken your money, that he shouldn't have treated you like staff. But he just kept making excuses, and I realized I sound exactly like him when I defend him. I've spent years making excuses for his behavior, telling you to be patient, to understand, to forgive. I became his enabler. He looked at me then, really looked, like he was seeing me clearly for the first time in years. I didn't know about the account, Liv. I swear I didn't know Mom left that specifically for you. I knew Dad helped me with money when my business failed, but I thought it was his savings. I never asked where it came from because I didn't want to know, and that makes me complicit. His eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry. For everything. For not protecting you. For not seeing what he was doing. For being exactly the kind of son he wanted instead of the brother you needed." The apartment behind me was silent. Everyone listening. I could have slammed the door. Could have told him it was too late. Could have made him feel a fraction of the abandonment I'd felt. But I saw something in his face I'd never seen before. Genuine remorse. Real recognition. He wasn't here because Dad sent him. He was here because he'd finally woken up. I stepped aside. "Come in," I said quietly. "But understand this. I'm not the family punching bag anymore. I'm not the event planner or the peacekeeper or the ghost of Mom. If you're here as my brother, not as Dad's messenger." He nodded quickly, almost desperately. "I understand. I swear." He walked past me into the warm, crowded apartment. People stared. Some looked angry. Some looked skeptical. Grandma stood up from the couch, arms crossed. "Ryan Michael Chen," she said sternly. "You have a lot to answer for." "I know, Grandma," he said, voice breaking. "I know I do." She studied him for a long moment, then her face softened just slightly. "Then sit down and eat. You look terrible." He laughed, a wet, shaky sound, and someone handed him a plate. I watched him settle into the corner of the couch, saw him look around at all the people who'd chosen me over Dad, saw the realization dawn on his face of what he'd almost lost. Later, after the food was gone and kids were falling asleep on the floor, Ryan found me in the kitchen washing dishes. He picked up a towel and started drying without asking. "He's alone," Ryan said quietly. "Dad. Completely alone. He called me 17 times after I left voicemails screaming, then begging, then threatening. The last one he just cried. I kept scrubbing a plate, didn't look at him. "Good," I said. "Maybe now he'll understand what it feels like." "Do you think he'll ever change?" Ryan asked. I finally looked at him. "No," I said honestly. "People like Dad don't change. They just get better at hiding what they are. or they get exposed and fall apart. Either way, it's not my problem anymore. Ryan nodded slowly. What do we do now? We live, I said. Without him in the center of everything, without his approval, without his control. I handed him another dish, and if he wants a relationship with us, he has to earn it, with real apologies, real change, not just words. Ryan dried the plate in silence, then said, I think I can do that. We'll see, I replied. But for the first time in 4 years, I believed we might actually have a chance. Tell me, when the person who always defended your abuser finally sees the truth and walks away, do you let them back in, or do you make them prove they've really changed first? Christmas night stretched on in a blur of warmth and noise. We played card games. We sang off-key carols. Someone started a story about Mom's legendary Christmas cookies, and everyone added their own memories until we were all laughing and crying at the same time. My apartment wasn't big. It wasn't fancy. Nothing matched. But for the first time in 4 years, I felt like I was hosting something that was actually mine. Not a performance, not a stage for someone else's glory. Just home. Ryan stayed mostly quiet, hovering on the edges, watching, learning, I think, how family could exist without a dictator at the head of the table. Around midnight, after most people had gone and the apartment was littered with empty plates and torn wrapping paper, there was another knock at the door. This time, everyone went silent. I knew who it was before I even stood up. My entire body knew. You don't have to open it, Ryan murmured from the couch. I know, I said, but I did. I opened the door just enough to see him, Richard, my father. He stood in the hallway in his expensive wool coat, hair perfectly combed, face carefully composed, but his eyes gave him away, red-rimmed, desperate, lost. Behind him, the corridor was empty. No backup, no audience, just him. Olivia, he said, voice low and controlled. Can we talk? I stepped into the hallway and pulled the door mostly closed behind me, leaving just a crack so I could still hear the faint sounds of my world inside. My people. About what? I asked flatly. About this situation, he said, gesturing vaguely like this was a business problem to be solved. About what happened. You mean about how you stole my college fund? I corrected. Or about how you uninvited me from Christmas? Which situation are we discussing? His jaw tightened, that familiar flash of anger when someone doesn't follow his script. Lower your voice, he hissed, glancing down the hallway. People can hear. I don't care, I said, but I didn't raise my voice. I was done performing for him. He took a breath, visibly trying to regain control. Everyone is talking about that video, about the account. I can't go anywhere without people looking at me like I'm some kind of monster. Maybe stop acting like one, I replied. His eyes flashed, but he swallowed it down. For once, he couldn't afford to explode. I came here to explain, he said carefully, to help you understand the full picture. Things were complicated after your mother died. The medical bills, the business struggles, Ryan's situation. I made hard choices with limited options. You made choices with my money, I said. Money Mom specifically left for me. You didn't ask. You didn't tell me. You just took it and let me think I was too poor to finish school. It was for the family, he insisted. Ryan would have lost everything. And I lost my future, I shot back. But that didn't matter to you because I was just the daughter, just the replacement wife, just free labor. That's not fair, he said, voice rising slightly before he caught himself. I raised you. I provided for you. You used me, I corrected. There's a difference. We stared at each other, years of unspoken resentment hanging between us like smoke. Finally, he changed tactics, softened his voice, let his shoulders drop, put on the face I'd seen him use in courtrooms and boardrooms when he needed to appear reasonable. Olivia, I know I've made mistakes, he said carefully, but I'm still your father. Family is supposed to forgive. Your mother would have wanted us to stay together. My blood went cold. Don't, I said quietly. Don't you dare use Mom to manipulate me. She's the one who warned everyone about you. She knew exactly what you'd do to me after she was gone, and she tried to protect me with that fund. His mask slipped for just a second, something ugly flickering across his face. Your mother didn't understand the realities of running a household, he said coldly. She lived in fantasyland where love solved everything. I live in the real world where bills need to be paid and hard decisions have to be made. There it was, the truth under all his careful words. He resented her, resented that she'd seen through him, resented that she'd tried to save me from him. You didn't love her, I said, and my voice came out eerily calm. You loved what she did for you, and when she died, you just plugged me into her role. That's not true, he said, but it sounded hollow. Then prove it, I challenged. Apologize. Really apologize. Not because you're embarrassed or because people are talking, because you actually understand that what you did was wrong. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. I was waiting for the words. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I hurt you. Instead, he said, I did what I thought was best. Not good enough, I replied. His composure finally cracked. What do you want from me? He demanded, voice rising. You've humiliated me publicly. You've turned the family against me. You've destroyed my reputation. What more do you want? I want you to actually see me, I said, and my voice broke just slightly. Not as your assistant, not as Mom's replacement, not as a reflection of you, as your daughter, as a person who deserved better than what you gave me. He stared at me, and for a moment I thought maybe, just maybe, something would break through. But then he pulled himself upright, spine stiffening, pride reasserting itself. I don't deserve to be treated like this, he said coldly, after everything I've sacrificed. And there it was. Even now, facing the complete destruction of his perfect image, he couldn't admit fault, couldn't apologize without conditions, couldn't see past his own ego. Then you know where the door is, I said, and nodded toward the elevator. We both knew he wasn't coming inside. Not tonight. Maybe not for a long time. Maybe never. He stared at me, waiting for me to cave, to apologize, to beg him not to leave. I didn't move. After a long, painful silence, he turned and walked away, footsteps echoing sharply against the floor. I watched until the elevator doors closed, until there was nothing left but my own reflection in the shiny metal. Then I went back inside. Ryan looked up when I entered, eyes full of questions. He left, I said simply. Did he apologize? No. Ryan nodded slowly, like that answered something he'd been wondering about. Later, after everyone had finally gone home and I was alone in the quiet apartment, I sat on the couch surrounded by the wreckage of the best Christmas I'd ever had. My phone buzzed. A text from Grandma, already home safe. Thank you for today, sweetheart. Your mother was with us. I felt her. I smiled through the tears that finally came. Another text from Aunt Carol. You're braver than you know, Liv. We've got your back. Then one from a cousin I hadn't spoken to in years. Your video helped me leave my toxic situation. Thank you. And dozens more. Hundreds. Strangers sharing their own stories of stolen futures and invisible labor, and finally, saying enough. I'd blown up my family's favorite holiday. I'd exposed secrets that were supposed to stay buried. I'd left my father alone with the consequences of his own choices. And I'd built something new from the ashes. Revenge isn't clean. It doesn't magically fix the years you lost or erase the scars. But it does something else. It shows the person who hurt you that you're not a doormat, that actions have consequences, that you matter. Does it feel good? Yes. Does it fix everything? No. But for the first time in 4 years, I'm not trying to be small. I'm not begging for crumbs of approval from someone who was never going to give them. I'm just living, loudly, proudly, on my own terms. If your father told you no one needs you, would you swallow the hurt and show up anyway? Or would you cancel his perfect show and build something real for yourself instead? And more importantly, if he came back months from now, would you open the door? Would you give him another chance? Or would you finally understand that some people don't deserve access to the life you've rebuilt? The choice, I've learned, is mine, and that's the most powerful revenge of all.